Hi guys, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you for clicking to watch today's video. So for today's video, it's a comparison between getting an education at either Carnegie Mellon University Africa or AIMS Rwanda, or maybe another campus of AIMS. So I had someone who had their masters at AIMS Rwanda come, and then we had different questions just to give you a sense of how the educational system at either campuses are. This video is kind of long. Yes, I admit. So what I have done is these are the different sections that you'll find in the video, and then there are timestamps linked to it, so you can just check the description. Whichever section is of interest to you, you can just skip to that part and watch it, and that'll be fine. Okay, so thank you for your time, and I hope this video is helpful. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe if it's helpful to you. Thank you. Hi everyone, you're welcome to today's video. In today's video, I've invited a guest. Her name is Ethel Elikem Afimenta. She's a PhD computer science student at Zaland University, and I will allow her to introduce herself fully. Over to you, Elikem.
Hello everyone, I'm Ethel Elikem, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Zaland, which is a public university in Saarbrücken, Germany. I'm with the computer science department, but specifically, I'm with the Interdisciplinary Institute for Societal Computing. So hopefully that gives you an idea of my PhD area. I'm in my first year, but I'm going to be talking about where I had my MSc before coming to Zaland, which happens to be the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, Rwanda.
All right, thank you, Elikem. And everyone, I am Esther Jifamenta. I am currently a student at Carnegie Mellon University Africa. And for today's video, we are going to be comparing the two institutions, that is AIMS and TMU Africa. The idea of the video is to help you make a decision. Okay, so to do this, we have a series of questions we'll be going through, both of us answering based on our experiences in the universities and what we know. So we'll go right into it and start with the first section. The first section is a general overview. So Ethel, we'll start with you. Can you give a brief overview of your experience in or at AIMS Rwanda? And in doing this, let's put it together. Okay, so in doing this, briefly introduce your school. What do you consider main strengths of your school's academic program, sorry? And how would you describe the campus culture and student life?
Right. Okay, so AIMS, African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, I'll be saying AIMS throughout this video, happens to have about 5 campuses. The first was established in South Africa, and subsequently there was one established in Senegal, still functional, Ghana, Rwanda, Cameroon. So these are the 5 campuses. And generally, AIMS is known for its emphasis on mathematical education. So emphasis on a strong mathematical foundation in STEM education. And most or all of its programs, let's just say most of its programs are postgraduate programs. So they don't run any undergraduate programs I know of. Um, for this session with Jifa, I'm going to be focusing on AIMS Rwanda because that's where I schooled. But then most of what I'll share uh, works for the other campuses, except for a few tweaks. And so AIMS runs a number of programs, and I think we can group them into 3. We have the master's programs, and for the master's programs, there are 3 master's programs. So they are all MSCs. The first is the structured master's program, which is the Master's in Mathematical Sciences that I took part in, which lasts for about 10 months to a year, very intensive. And then there's the cooperative program, also, I think a year and a half, I'm not too sure, but it's significantly different from the structured master's program. And there's also the Army program, which is the machine intelligence program, that's run. Yeah, so that's for the master's program. They also do run programs for teachers. So there's a teacher training program, and then there's something we call the Mastercard Scholar Program, but it's more like, which we'll get into later. But this Mastercard Scholar Program essentially, Mastercard funded scholars in any of the AIMS program, undertake projects in the community. So, yeah. And then, as I probably have mentioned already, AIMS is known for the emphasis on a strong mathematical foundation. So, in recent years, there's been, a bit of a focus on the application of math in computing and data science and in technology essentially, but by and large since its inception it's been mainly about a strong foundation in math and whatever that translates into physics, into whichever area that once it's under STEM you most probably need math, and that's what AIMS focuses on.
Okay, and then the final aspect of how would you describe the campus culture and student life?
Well, AIMS is like a boarding school setup. It gives boarding school vibes if you're Ghanaian or you've ever had to do boarding school in high school, some level of your life. What that simply means is we are very regulated. So housing is provided, feeding is provided. You essentially live in the same space with your colleagues, and lectures are not too far. So essentially, they try to create a conducive environment that allows you to only study. Yeah, you don't have to worry about accommodation. You don't have to worry about any other thing. Just get yourself ready and go to the classroom and face your books, essentially. Yeah.
All right. All right, so that is for AIMS University. And then for Carnegie Mellon University Africa, where I am, I would start with the main campus in Pittsburgh. Okay, so CMU has a main campus in Pittsburgh, and then there are other campuses. There's one in Silicon Valley, there's one in Qatar, and then there's AIMS Rwanda. Okay, so for our master's programs, okay, that is in Rwanda. There are 4 main programs. The first one is a Masters of Science, MSIT. So Masters of Science in IT. Then there's MSEAI, Masters of Science in Engineering Artificial Intelligence. And then there's MSECE, which is Electrical and Computer Engineering. And there's MSECE Advanced, sorry. And that is ECE, Advanced ECE. Okay, so the length between the advanced and then the standard program is an extra semester. Okay, I'll include the duration of the program. So the usual duration for all the programs are between 3 semesters or 4 semesters. Now, for most students, it depends on the kind of funding they get. Full scholars would usually go all 4 semesters. Partial scholars would sometimes go 3 or 4. The least amount of time you can complete the degree is in 1 year, and that is for the standard ECE program. Okay, so what are the main strengths of my school's academic programs? I think one key strength would be the fact that despite having an MSc title that you are pursuing, under each program, you get to have a concentration area, and then there's a guided way to do this. So we have degree plans, and then you get to speak to the academic advisor, and then she helps you plan your degree, or you can have assistance from other students as well on how to get to scope the courses that you are selecting to help you focus in a particular area. Okay, another strength would be definitely the exchange program. So when you come to CMU Africa, okay, there's the opportunity to take a semester abroad that is on the Pittsburgh campus. And I think this is a key strength because it allows a student to experience both cultures. Okay, that is the culture in Rwanda and in the US as well. And you get to do this for about 3 to 4 months. Actually, it's 4 months. Yes. So this is another key strength. And how would I describe the campus culture and then student life? I think compared to AIMS, CMU Africa, there's a lot of liberty. Okay, so first of all, there's no housing on campus. So you are made to stay in town. And this allows you to experience the Rwandan culture. Students get to have a stipend, not all students, but one thing is for sure, if you are a scholar or full or partial scholar, you'll be getting some kind of stipend. Okay. Yes. So with this, you're allowed to have housing off campus. You cook your own food. There's a bus that takes you to school. I'm trying to compare this to AIMS and how different it is. Yes, so that is it for CMU Africa. My personal experience would be the opportunities that I've had in CMU Africa, primarily engaging in volunteer activities. Because the program has been scoped for almost 2 years, there's opportunity to include extracurricular activities in your study plan as compared to AIMS that is more intensive. You have about, you said 10 months, right?
Yeah, roughly 10 months.
Yes.
But we do extracurricular stuff, like we do volunteer.
But would it be as much as CMU Africa though?
Well, not as much, but
Yeah.
equally significant, I guess. But
Okay.
hopefully we'll get to that in the discussion.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes. So that would be my experience for CMU Africa. The next session would be admissions. So what is the admissions process like at your school? Let's take it two at a time, okay? So what are the admissions process like at your school? And then what are the key factors that your school considers in admission process? If you know, if you don't, that's okay.
If I know, that's a good one because I was never on the admission. But okay, so for the structured master's program, since that's the one I took, intake is mostly in August, ending of August is when intake happens. And so application opens, I believe, in March. Yeah, and in the application process, you have two sets of applications. So there's the admissions application. So you fill the form for the admissions. To be quite frank, I don't really remember what went into that, but like every general admission process, you would have to enter some information about your undergraduate program, courses you took, around that, things you've done. And there's also an application for funding, right? Yeah, so those are the two application processes for the structured masters. And then I think beginning with my year group, there was an introduction of an interview. Currently, I think it's standardized across all the campuses. I'm not too sure. But so after getting selected from the first stage, which is the filling of the application forms, there was an interview, basically on math. So you had, I had, I think an interview like you're having now, and I had to solve questions. So I was given some questions in, I think, calculus and linear algebra, and I was asked a few basic things. As I mentioned, even though we care about the applications of math, AIMS has the understanding that, before you can even apply it, you need to have a strong foundation in math. So yes, that's how the process went, and they get back to you and let you know. For the funding, I don't know if you are going to talk about funding separately.
Yes,
later
we'll
on.
Okay, but you can include, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. So as far as I know, everyone that gets admitted to AIMS has some kind of funding, funding essentially, but the funding varies. The only organization I know of, because I happen to be a Mastercard scholar, is the Mastercard Foundation, right? Yeah. But I know I know there are other organizations that fund us. Yeah. So from that application that we fill for funding, they ask you a number of questions regarding Africa, how you identify, basically how you see yourself as an African, what you plan to give back to your society, questions bordering around that to see how patriotic you are, in a sense. And based off of that, you are given funding. Okay. But I guess the institutions determine who gets what funding, right? So a few of us were Mastercard scholars. Not sure if we had all the privileges, but yeah, we were Mastercard scholars. Okay.
So on my end, most of the things will be similar. So I'll try not to repeat those sections. I'll be pointing out those that are distinctively different. Okay. So for CMU Africa, it's actually very similar. I'm also a Mastercard student, so yeah. Okay. So in CMU Africa, for the application process, the way mine was, you have the usual application, like Elikem said, for AIMS. It's online, personal questions are asked. I remember there were 2 essays. the first essay for why CMU Africa, and then the second one, after you say you want funding, right? I think there was a second section. So if you say you want funding, then you tell us why. Okay. And these are all African institutions. So you are looking to vocalize why, first of all, you're an African student. How does being selected as somebody who we want to give you this money, why should we give it to you? Okay. So most of the essay should be looking like, talk about why you are your African. I'm coming. I want the word. Yeah, let's say Africanness. Okay. So how you're being African, okay? How has it shaped your thought process, and how is being selected as a scholar going to benefit you as an individual, first of all, and then how does that benefit translate into the community? Okay, so I think this is one key thing that most scholarship essays look out for. So you are looking to touch on your volunteerism, etc. Okay, so that is for the application for CMU Africa. Also on the website. I'll put all the links in the video, in the description. Okay, and then what key factors does my school consider in admissions process? I'm not on the admissions committee, like Elikem said. Yeah, so I'm sure it will still be the basic stuff. There'll be academic merits, as well as there's something we call types of scholarship. So we have academic-based scholarship, which is merit-based scholarship, and then we have the need-based scholarships. Okay, so some scholarships I know of in CMU Africa, we have the Mastercard, Government of Rwanda, the Smart Africa. Yeah, off the top of my head, those are the ones I can remember. All right. The next section I had was, or is, academic programs, sorry, but I think we've spoken about that already. And I want to see if we've not touched on anything. Okay, how flexible is the curriculum in terms of choosing majors or minors? Elikem, you mentioned that your program was for almost a year, right?
Yeah.
So when people get in, are they allowed the freedom of choosing courses, or does everybody do the same thing? How tight or flexible is this?
So like I mentioned, right, I think I didn't explain the structure of AIMS too well. So when you get into AIMS, even though it's like a 10-month program, we don't really have breaks. So you can think of it as 3 sandwiched semesters. We have like a skills phase, a reading phase, and an essay phase. So when you get in, and things change slightly every year, like slightly, emphasis on slightly, because when AIMS was established, the emphasis was on math and physics, because as far as I know, physics is like the most immediate mathematical applicable science. And as time went on, I mean, from 2003 to now, of course, you've seen that, technology is a big thing, data science, engineering, all of that. So at least for my campus, in my year group, in addition to climate science, which has been like a major thing, I think university, as at the time I was there. Okay, so backtrack. Let me just put this in. For every AIMS campus, right? AIMS is not a standalone institution. It has to partner with the country, so the government of the country, right? It is when the government of the country agrees, because there's some level of funding from the government, right? And so I think in the agreement, there are some quotas that have to be met. I don't know what the politics, but then it so happens that climate science is an important thing, or happens to be an important thing. So every year, to the best of my knowledge, there was a need to have a number of climate science students. So students that will eventually pursue projects in climate science, at least for Rwanda.
Okay.
So in my year group, we had the skills phase, and then we had three majors. Okay. So there was climate science, there was data science, and then there was others, where others meant that you got to choose any course you wanted to do. Essentially, you got to like make up your own menu. Okay.
And which track were you in?
I was in the data science track. This was not you didn't get to choose. You could have what you wanted, but you needed to work for it. So in the skills phase, we take preparatory courses in Python. We take courses in physical science. Is it we do mathematical science and we do physical science. I can't even remember if I mentioned the name right, but the physical science was basically physics, basically physics,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then there was also math, like mathematical whatever. So you had to do like proofs and all of that. And then we had a course in statistics and probability. So based off of your performance in that phase, you were given or you were assigned to
To a
a
group.
major.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And data science happened to be supposedly the most attractive, at least for my year
The
group.
most
So
desired.
it was very, yeah. So, yeah, the most desired. So it was very competitive, but it was based off of performance that, we assigned
Mm,
to these majors. So
major.
once you were in that, there were specific courses you had to take to be able to graduate with an MSc, mathematical
Mm,
science major, or data science. Yeah.
okay.
So that's how the system kind of works. But
Okay.
currently, I think it has changed a bit. I'm not too sure.
Mm,
Yeah, and this was not necessarily the same program that was run across the other campuses. Like I had friends in Ames, Ghana, the same year I was in Ames, Rwanda, and they didn't have anything like data science stream or data science major.
okay.
Yeah.
So it
So
depends on the
it was
campus you are
variety.
in. Mm,
Exactly.
okay. Before I answer for CMU Africa, there's one thing I want you to include. Are there any special academic opportunities like research, which I'm very sure there would be, but so research,
Yeah.
internships, or study abroad programs? Do you have that in Ames?
I mean, study abroad, no, because well, AIMS was actually AIMS, I believe, was established to meet a need in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and to be like more of a stepping stone for African intellectuals, particularly in the mathematical field. And the program is short and intensive. While we don't have study abroad, we do have quite a number of lecturers from different institutions outside of Africa coming to teach, right? Internships for AIMS in the structured masters, no, but in the cooperative master's program, I know they have a 6 month internship
Mm-hmm.
with partner organizations. I know that like I think 6 or 3 months of their program is dedicated to industry immersion. That being said, AIMS has a lot of initiatives. Like there's uh, the industry immersion program that AIMS does in partnership with I've forgotten the name of the institution, but after the AIMS program, you get to apply and then you have what do you call it, a 1 month intensive course with a management institution in the name has escaped me. You add it to the subtitle when I remember. But yes, there's that. But then for the structured master's program I took, no, there's no study abroad. There's no internship, there's technically no room for that, but there's room for research. So I think every AIMS campus has a research setup. At
Mm-hmm.
AIMS Rwanda, we had like um, research chairs in climate, in data science. So in the course of your program, maybe even before you get to the SFH, which is where you write your thesis, if you find anything that interests you, you could write any of them. You could even have them supervise your project. And as of now, in Ancient Rwanda, I know we are running quite a number of PhD programs. At least I know there's a PhD program in data science running
Okay.
at Ames. I think with Quantum Leap, not too sure, but yes. So in the Ames ecosystem, that's it. And then again, I would mention that because of our partnerships with these lecturers and universities outside, while there's no study abroad, there are partnerships that allow quotas that give the opportunity for students to apply. So I mentioned to you that we had a course in the preparatory phase in physics. So I believe the lecturer is from Michigan State University,
Okay.
somewhere in the US.
Okay.
And he has this thing he does every year when he comes to teach. He has an exam for interested students. And once you pass that exam, you have a PhD with him. So he
Straight.
takes straight. Yeah, I have a colleague who is actually in a PhD now
That sounds
because he
very
passed
good.
the exam. Yeah. So, I mean, if you decide that that's the route you want to take, all you have to do is just pass the exam and
Mm-hmm.
you're good to go. Then we also have, I don't know if to call this partnerships, but like, that thing where opportunities are sent to your institute and then they send it to select few
Yeah,
students
based on their
exactly
performances. So
based
the
on their
school already
performance.
has
So
a
we
group
have
of people that,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's also that. Yeah, but yeah, essentially
Okay,
that's
okay. Okay, so like I said, for those that are similar to CMU Africa, I'll not hit on it too much so that there's not so much repetition. So CMU Africa also has a lot of research opportunities. One key one is the weekly program in Pittsburgh. So for every semester, there's a week abroad where students are allowed to go and pitch their research ideas in CMU Pittsburgh, and then through that you get to interact with professors, people who are interested in your research. I don't know if that's translates into a PhD. I've not been at one of those events myself. But then CMU Africa, there's also Scilab Africa, okay, and the Upanzi Network. Now in Scilab Africa, that's where I know all or almost all research projects run through. Okay, and then students have the opportunity to have their internships here. You get to work with the professors in CMU Africa as well as CMU Pittsburgh, sorry, and then industry partners. Okay, so you can have a project where you are you are working with a professor in either CMU Africa or CMU Pittsburgh, and then your solution is supposed to help an industry partner. Okay, and this happens during the course of the semester. You can be a research assistant and have this program running, but then mainly during the summer, there's the internship program that runs for 3 months, and then students have the opportunity to, continue this research with professors and industry partners. Okay, so that's one key difference. We do have internships that are like 3 semesters long. If you are in the MSIT track, sorry, you would have to do an internship. It's compulsory, else you won't graduate. Yes. For the other tracks, it's not mandatory. And then one key difference is we have the study abroad programs. We also have professors coming in from Pittsburgh during the course of the semester to interact with students and share their projects, take students on for their projects. So an example would be the fact that both students in CMU Africa and Pittsburgh there's a platform we use. It's called the Student Project Tracker. Okay. Now, irrespective of your campus, you have access to this platform. And this platform contains, I'll say, all research is going on because there's a lot of research there. And then professors put on their research. You see the topic, you see the requirements, you get to pick a course, a research. If you take on a research, you can either take it for pay or for units. Okay. And some of them can be remote. So if it's a professor in Pittsburgh, you can be a professor in TMU Africa and still work with him, and then you take it for either pay or for unit. So all this these specifications are listed on the website. So I think that's one key stronghold for CMU Africa. The distance or the different campuses, it's not a barrier. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll add that, even the study abroad at CMU, it's mainly because you're very connected to your parents' campus, right? And so assuming Pittsburgh, CMU Pittsburgh was not in Pittsburgh, you would have been doing study abroad because
Yeah.
you don't go to any other
No,
event
but you
if
could
you
have,
are doing the study abroad.
if Ames wanted to do a study abroad program, you have other campuses.
No,
So you could have
I just
done an
want
exchange program with Ghana. You could have done
not
an exchange program.
necessarily.
Why?
No, the campuses are a bit standalone. So what I just wanted
Okay.
to clarify for your viewers is that the the Pittsburgh experience, like the study abroad, is only to CMU Pittsburgh. Like you don't do study abroad to other campus other universities,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay,
It's
okay.
just to your parents' university, and I mean your medical fund is still tied to them.
Mm.
While with Ames, right? Even though we have several campuses, they are not necessarily connected. Like the
They
administration
operate
is
independently.
independent.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
They operate independently. So yeah. But we can have what do you call it? I think you can have research across it all, but administration is independent. And the programs are quite similar. So there's really no need for
Mm.
an exchange one. And two, the intensity is not going to allow you to be
And I
switching
think
between
the time as
yeah,
well, the time. I mean, if you are
exactly.
there for just 10 months, moving about so much is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've touched on this a little. So I have scholarships and financial aid. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So under this, I have what types of scholarship and financial aid are available at your institution? How competitive is it to receive scholarship or financial aid? And then, are there specific scholarships for international students? I'm going to put all of this together. You have the questions on your
Mm.
end as well, yeah. So if there's any aspect you haven't touched on previously, kindly add that. Okay, so the third one was or is, are there specific scholarships for international students or students from underrepresented backgrounds? Okay, and then how does your school support students financially beyond scholarships? For example, are there work study programs? So for AIMS, how is it for AIMS Rwanda?
Okay, so like I mentioned, you don't get to choose which scholarship you want to be on. You just do the scholarship you just fill in the scholarship application and you are given admission. And if you are a Mastercard scholar, you are told. I don't think, at least I did have colleagues who were not Mastercard scholars, but I don't think they knew which
Mm-hmm.
scholarship they were on. I think AIMS is more on the equality and equity side in terms of making sure that the opportunities reachable to as many Africans as possible, reason for the intensity. And so I don't we even though I was a Mastercard scholar, I had the same stipend as all my colleagues. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was spread across. And so in that sense, we were technically on the same scholarship. I
Mm-hmm.
do know that people can come to AIMS without scholarship, but I have not heard or seen all the people I know that went to AIMS went on scholarship. Like everything was catered for. So I dare say like probably all the funding is gotten and then it's spread across evenly, so to
Okay.
speak. So nobody really lacks anything. You are all provided for on the same level. There's no need for work study programs because, like I said, you are catered for. Everything is,
Mm.
you get a stipend at the end of the month. Our beddings and what do you call it, feeding is taken care of, accommodation is taken care of. Um, Everything is on campus. Of course, if you want to do anything outside, you get to step out and all of that. But essentially, basic stuff are taken care of.
Mm.
Um, I think they focus a bit on, they try to create room for diversity because even though the focus is on Africans, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
having Africans coming to school there. So in my year group, I think we had people from 18 nationalities in Africa,
Okay.
people of 18 nationalities, in Africa. So how they do it, I'm not sure. Uh, but for the structured program, I do know that application opens at the same time for all campuses, right? And you even get to choose the campus you want to go to.
Is there a
You
guarantee
get to
that you get that?
there's no guarantee that you get
Okay.
that. So you choose the campus and then I think there's a second option that says, if you don't get it, would you want to
Okay.
be pushed to a different campus or not? I think the South African campus has a lot of pressure, being that it's the pioneering campus, most people want to go there.
Mm.
I personally think that there's an element of, proximity use because if you are Ghanaian, for example, and you're applying to SA, there's an AIMS institution in Ghana. There's an AIMS
Mm-hmm.
institution in Senegal. There's an AIMS institution in Cameroon. Why did you skip all these places in
You
South
want
Africa?
exposure?
Yeah. So I think they use proximity as well, and
Okay.
also the elements of diversity
Okay.
when selecting and when pushing people to the campuses.
Mm.
I think yeah. So if you are not told you're a Mastercard scholar, you probably won't know essentially. And it
Mm.
didn't come written on my scholarship. I found out like later on because
Mm.
I think our Mastercard representative wanted to have a meeting with us and yada yada. And yeah, but then by and large, I think given the mission and vision for AIMS and what it aims to do, it's kind of makes sense how it's run,
Mm-hmm.
if you get because if we were going to say that, Mastercard sponsors say 20 people and all the 20 people, only these 20 people get that funding, supposing funding from the other sources don't come, A, B,
Mm-hmm.
C, and D, how the aim is how do we create equality and have as many people have this experience as possible.
Mm,
Yeah, from
yeah.
my perspective and my experience, I think that's really their focus.
Mm. So the main difference between that and CMU Africa will be the fact that in CMU Africa, if you are a fully funded scholar, it's very obvious. It's very obvious because Mastercard scholars would have bonding programs where on Saturdays they're allowed to go and visit places, things to bring them together. Okay. They have, so something happened during my year. Okay. During my year, every student that was admitted during my year had the opportunity to have funding, stipend, sorry. Okay. So there wasn't so much of a difference between a fully funded scholar and a partially funded scholar. Okay. But then this was not the same for the new class that came in. And then it wasn't the same for our predecessors. Okay. So I'll say my batch was very special. Yes. Everybody had stipend. And then if you had extra fees to pay, you could take a student job, and a scholar could also take a student job. Okay. So that was something that happened for only my year group. If it will happen again, I'm not sure. And then how competitive is it to receive scholarship or financial aid? I'll say it's very competitive actually, because when I look at the student population in CMU Africa and then I look at the number of scholars, there's quite a huge difference in the numbers. And I'll say, so based off of that, I'll say it's a competitive opportunity. And then are there specific scholarships for international students or students from underrepresented backgrounds? In this case, we are all Africans, so I won't say anybody is an international student. And
Exactly.
yeah, I'll say we are all the same. We are all Africans. And then
Right. I think there's also a bit of in their long term goal, they want to give opportunities to women, and I think that's probably this covers underrepresented because by and large, we don't have so many women in STEM generally.
mm-hmm.
It's now, the focus is now building around women coming into STEM. And so when it comes to giving funding, you know,
Mm,
they try to prioritize women on their websites. You see, at least for the Mastercard scholarships, about
mm,
59%, at least for in 59%, at least for in Rwanda, are females.
mm-hmm.
So there's a conscious effort to gradually increase the number of
Mm,
women in STEM. So I guess that
okay.
answers the question for
Okay.
underrepresented.
So I mean, when I was thinking about underrepresented, I didn't capture it as like what you are saying, because then again, for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, we are all African. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
at
get
us
it.
as one group of people. But then when we talk about like specifics, okay, in terms of gender, I know the male population is significantly more than the female population. But then the question is, are the females even applying in the first place? Okay. Are they
Yeah.
putting in their applications? I think in last year, the figures I saw was 21% females and then the rest were males. That is wow.
21% admitted or applied to CME.
I think that was admitted because it was the current population. Yeah, I think that was admitted. So that is crazy. Like females,
Yeah.
up your game. Anyway, so
Yeah.
and then another group of people would be the French speaking students and then the English speaking students. I think we have more English speaking students, but then on the continent we have French and English speaking individuals. So I'm aware of the efforts like that. There's this thing CMU Africa has, the Bridge program. Okay, so the Bridge program is supposed to
Yeah.
help students who are not fluent in English to adjust to the system and then make their journey in CMU Africa simpler or easier. Yes.
Right.
And then how
Yeah,
does okay, okay,
I
go.
didn't mention this about AIMS, but yeah, that's also something that happens at AIMS. I don't Anglophone know. But everything in AIMS is done in English, right? I
Okay.
think for every campus, including the one in Cameroon and Senegal. So there are efforts to help people with English, particularly academic writing, English that they need
Mm-hmm.
in academic writing. So we have right from the preparatory phase, we have classes that help, with basic English speaking and,
Mm,
writing in English, writing academic papers. And most of the time, as far as I know, it's helpful and helps with
yeah.
their integration. And most of the francophones I've met, they don't really struggle with the math per se. They have it all together. So they just
Mm-hmm.
now have to focus on, how to explain themselves or interact in English. That being said, even during some of our exams or midterm exams, you would have some of our tutors, because we have tutors who are either Anglophone or Francophone, and some of the text they would have to come and explain because it's complex English, let them know that no, this is what this means. And yeah, and we are also a small group. I think that there has to be emphasis on that. And when you are admitted, unlike you, it's one program. Like when we say structured masters into one, that this cohort,
everything applies to the whole.
Yes, all of us are doing that. If another, let's say, for the other master's programs like AMI now I think is run only in Senegal, but prior to that, I think it was run, how do you say this? Iteratively across campuses. And so, but they will have a different setup. Like they won't necessarily mix with us, yes, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to clarify doing the same thing.
I want to clarify something. This is the second time you've mentioned the AMI scenario, right? Could you spell it for me? Is it AMI?
Yeah, AMMI. So African. Wait.
So I was actually going to ask.
African Masters in Machine Intelligence.
Okay, and how different is it from your structured program?
This particular one is more focused on AI, data science and AI. Yeah. Okay. So all the courses you'll be taking.
Is it also is it also 10 months or a year?
That's a year. Yeah, that's for a year.
Okay. So where were we? I don't think I answered yet. No, the last question. I don't think I answered. How does your school support students financially beyond scholarships? Yeah. So we have a number of student jobs. Compared to Pittsburgh, our jobs are less, but then I think they are enough to accommodate as many students that are needed. So you have jobs from the admissions department, you have jobs from marketing, you have teaching assistant roles, you have research assistant roles. You can get a job as well. So I know some students who are students and then have part-time jobs remotely as well as in person. So they go to work, come to school, and vice versa. Yeah. So those are the work study opportunities to help students gain extra cash to fund themselves in school. So the next section is the duration and academic load. Okay. Putting all questions together. What is the typical duration of the graduate program? And then how would you describe the academic workload? Are students encouraged to take summer classes or internships to complete their studies faster? Yeah. Elikem, you first.
I don't know what is faster than doing a 2-year master's program in 10 months.
Yes, so I think because your program is also structured, this section would not apply. But then how about the, you've mentioned the typical duration of your program, which is 10 months to a year, roughly. And then the workload, I think from what you said as well, that came in, that is very intense, focus, get this done and be out of here. Yeah. And then are students encouraged to take summer? You don't even have the opportunity to have a summer.
Exactly.
Yes. And then, what do you call it? Can you complete your study? Has anybody ever completed their studies faster than the 10 months? Where are you running to?
The way it works, like it's like after this you go to this, so there's no way. I mean, yeah, it's not like the courses are waiting for you.
Yeah. But then all of these would actually apply to CMU Africa. Okay, so the typical duration of the program is between 3 semesters and 4 semesters. Okay, now there's one exception, that is people are able to complete in 2 semesters, and that is the standard ECE program. Okay. When you come into CMU Africa, you are given your expectation. That is, how many units are you supposed to have before you complete the semester? How you balance that workload is up to you. Keeping in mind that you have financial aid for either part of the 4 semesters or all of the 4 semesters. Okay. And I think the financial aid is very crucial in students determining if they are going to do 3 semesters or 4 semesters. Okay. And then, so you can finish in 1 year if you are doing the standard ECE program. you can finish in 3 semesters, which is what most people do actually, because most people have funding for 3 semesters. And then these students are usually in the Master of EAI, MSEAI or MSIT. Okay, so most of them finish their program in 3 semesters, and then there are some exceptions that finish in 4 semesters, even though they don't have full funding. Now, most of the students that go all the way, that is the 4 semesters, are fully funded students. Okay, because I mean, they have the funding. Why not do it? Yeah, so those are the different timelines. And then how would you describe the academic workload? For this question, honestly, it depends on how many semesters you have. My point of view is if I have 4 semesters and then I'm supposed to do 100 and let's say 51 units, okay, where each course is either 6 units or 12 units, I can pace myself and then finish in 4 semesters. Nobody's chasing me, okay. But then if you have 3 semesters and you have 151 units to complete, then your workload becomes more intense. Okay, that means as opposed to someone who has 4 semesters who will be doing let's say 3 courses in a semester, right, which is the standard. You can't, if you've not completed your degree requirements, you can't do below 36, which is roughly 3 courses in the semester. Okay, so comparing someone who has 3 semesters and then that person will be taking like 4, 5 courses in a semester, and then we have the person who has 4 semesters taking 3 semesters. Obviously, a person with 5 courses will have more pressure on them than the person who has three courses. Yes. Are students encouraged to take summer classes or internships? Definitely. I mentioned previously that if you are in the MSIT track, doing an internship is mandatory for you to graduate. But then if you are in the MSECE or EAI track, then it's not compulsory. Yeah, so that's it for that section. Campus life and extracurricular activities. So I think we've actually touched on the sections I have slightly in the process of like touching on the other sections. So for this section, we have what are the most popular extracurricular activities or student organizations at your school? How important are sports or arts in your school? I feel like CMU Africa will beat AIMS over here. And then how are there opportunities for leadership or community involvement on campus? Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, for AIMS, given that it's very intensive and we have something we call blocks. So I told you like we have 3 phases: skills phase, review phase, and essay phase. In the skills phase and the review phase, we have things we call blocks. A block lasts about 3 weeks long. So you take a course for 3 weeks and then you write an exam to pass.
Okay.
And in that 3 weeks, you submit assignments, you take tests, and all of that. So when the block ends, and each block you can take about 2 or 3 courses in that block.
Okay.
Yeah. So when that block ends, we have something like
2 or 3 courses for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you write an exam on each of them.
So when the block starts, there are about 3 courses that are run parallel.
Okay.
Or are different, in parallel technically. Just that will have different time slots. And then depending on the track that you are in or the stream that you are in, you have a number of requirements. Very rarely will you see someone taking 1 course in a block, unless the person, like you said, has met their requirements already. And the way AIMS runs, it's not like there's no summer school for you to catch up. You know, so you have to.
You either get it or you miss it.
Exactly. So in that 3 weeks, you start on a Monday, for example. On the Wednesday, you write a test. Friday, on the Wednesday, you write a test. That Wednesday, you get your assignment for the week, which we type out in LaTeX. We type out in LaTeX, and then so the questions come out, and then you solve them and submit by Saturday midnight. So you are doing.
Isn't that a week?
No, not a week. So you get the assignment on Wednesday evening,
and you submit by Saturday.
Saturday, yes.
But then the class started on Monday.
Courses. Yes, you have a week. Yes, exactly. The class started on Monday. So I don't know when you want to be getting time to go and do extracurricular activity.
Okay, AIMS is super intense.
Yeah.
But then again, it's because of the duration of the program. I mean, they want to finish in 10 months. So
exactly. So so you are doing that for the 2 courses you are working on in that too. So at least for every course, you submit two assignments each week. So if you are taking two courses each week, you're submitting two assignments with deadline on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, right? Good. And then so at the end of the block, so in the third week, you would either write a final exam or you do a presentation, which is rare. You do a presentation and write what do you call it, a paper. Not
Mm,
what do you call that? Presentation and paper summary of something. You
okay.
write a summary of all that you've done, like what you worked on essentially, and then you
Mm-hmm.
submit it for your grade. Then that Saturday, we try to relax, loosen up before the next block will start. There are
Mm-hmm.
no breaks in between the blocks. There are only breaks between the phases.
Okay.
So exactly. So we have something like a small entertainment. Like my time, I and a friend, we try to coordinate that.
Mm,
Have a get together, try to do some games, but eventually the stress gets to everybody, and
yeah.
it just fades out. People find their way around, and go wherever they want to go to. Just come back
Yeah.
in time, and all of that. I think by the time we even had something like a curfew, also
That was
because
during
COVID
COVID.
had just
Yeah.
no, I mean, okay, yeah,
No.
COVID was fading actually when I went to AIMS in
Okay. Okay.
2021.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
because
then because
COVID
it
was
was in place,
2020. Yeah.
yeah, but by the time I was leaving, they had lifted all the bans and all those
Okay.
things. But then because of that, we did have a curfew. We even had a number of days you could step out and for how long you could step out. That's at
If
least
you
the
want to
one.
be
But yeah,
restricted, go to IMSS.
no, but then we also did have like so between the phases, right? At least for the essay phase, for the skills phase, there were three blocks,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had a week break. Our tutors made it a point to take us. We had like a beautiful excursion to I think Kingfisher in Rwanda. Nice lakeside view and feeding and all of that. And
Mm.
then we also did have a few outreaches. So each time we stepped out, there was an outreach attached to our chilling,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
in Kingfisher, when we went to Kingfisher, we went to, I think, a secondary school. We went to talk to them about STEM. So we went to chill and then we went to talk to a secondary school about
Yeah. It
STEM.
was
And then we also
business.
donated, yes, we also
Okay.
donated stuff. I forgot to mention that AIMS also provides all our stationery for school.
Mm.
So at the beginning of every block, we are given stationery and books, anything that we
Sounds
need.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
So
Sounds good.
I think that covers.
That covers it.
Yeah. So yeah, and they did at least for my year group. I can say that we did enjoy AIMS a bit because we had like at least being female, right? Rwanda also has this thing for females. So these programs, like I think Women's Day,
Mm.
Stepping Out, all these were avenues to loosen up and have a bit of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had we have like a small basketball court that you can go and bounce balls around if you are really stressed. We in our yard, right? People could play football there in between. Um, After lessons and after dinner, it was basically open space. Yeah, so there was also opportunity to volunteer. We went, I think, one time to help with the teacher training
Mm-hmm.
program.
Mm-hmm.
We volunteered to go to schools, about three secondary schools in groups, and we went to just talk to them about STEM and encourage them. Yeah, the girls over there.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, by and large, I think
Okay.
my time at Ames was not too depressing, in spite of the fact
Mm.
that it was extremely stressful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for CMU Africa. I'll start with the student organization. So we have a student SRC. Okay, we call them the guild, the student guild. There's the president, vice president, um, financial person. I've forgotten the title. Yeah, so there are about 8 people in that guild body, and then they represent the students. They are the voice of the students as much as they can be. They try to do that, and then are there extracurricular activities? Yes. So we have a number of extracurricular activities. I think in CMU Africa, it largely depends on the student's ability to take initiative. Okay. So if you wanted a program this Friday, games night, for instance, the process would be talk to the guild representative. That is the social minister, right? Yeah. So you speak to the social minister, you tell him, oh, I think it'll be a good idea to have blah, blah, blah. Do you think that's something we can organize? And then if there's a free slot for that Friday or Wednesday or whichever day it is, the the proposal is considered and then it's put through. Okay. So we have a number of things. We have games nights. We have in the spring semester, we have a whole week where we have I've forgotten the name of the week, but in that week I'll put the name up somewhere. We have food cultural day. We have a modeling session where you get to come and represent your country, show your country's clothing. It's a whole week dedicated to celebrating African culture. Okay. And I think this is really good. Something I really appreciate in CMU Africa, the opportunity to have things in school that help you clear your head. Okay. We have a resource center where there's table tennis for students who can play. You go there Friday night, just go and bounce the ball to clear your head. And then we have a basketball court standardized. It's not mini. So we have we have a basketball court, okay, where students can go and bounce, play full games, and then relax as much as they can. The campus is big, and I think that's something to also consider. So you see Ames Rwanda, right? Everything is in one space.
We are actually moving. We are moving up to where you guys are, but they are not. I think they are not done.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was actually something, or that's something I'm bringing up. The fact that Ames Rwanda, everything is in one space. If you are somebody who likes space, okay, I feel like that can become enclosing, okay, claustrophobic. Yeah. But then in TMU Africa, I mean, there's a lot of space. Campus is big. If you are tired of sitting in the classroom, there's a seating area. I'll post a video of CMU Africa's tour, okay? So look out for that. Yes. So there's a seating area where you can just go and clear your head in the morning. There's trees. It's a beautiful environment, okay? And then it's paying you.
No, it doesn't pain me, but
okay.
I think it's what you are looking for in this life.
Oh my word.
If doesn't hide it, they let you know what you are signing up for.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. There's something I don't want to miss. Okay, so I've checked the sports and extracurricular activities, and then there's the leadership and community involvement on campus. So one key thing about CMU Africa is the students have some level of control, okay, and then you get to pitch your initiative. So it really depends on how intentional the student is, okay. Typical example, as a Mastercard scholar, there's this component of being a scholar where we call give back, okay. And then every semester, students have the opportunity to organize a give back project, and then scholars contribute to this project financially, in terms of their time, where they go to schools, they educate students, they give items to students to support their education, etc. Okay, so as wide as you can think, once you are able to put in the work and get it done, it will be done. One key project that has been running, it ran in the fall semester when I came, and then it ran in the spring as well, which is actually very popular. And the project is the refugee camp project, okay. And for this particular project, the project lead in the first semester organized students. They went to the refugee camp. They spoke to the refugees. And then in the second semester, he was able to push for them to stay in that location for, I think, 3 days. And I think that's a really big deal. And he was very active. Let me just give him a shout out. God. Yes. So he was very active. This project went beyond scholars. Okay. It's involved lecturers in the school, and even students who were not scholars contributed to it. So I think
so what were they doing in that 3 days?
So in that 3 days, they were it was an ICT boot camp. Okay. So teaching the students ICT skills, basic stuff like Word, how to use Word, getting them acquainted with using basic laptop infrastructure, etc. And the idea was this 3-day program is exposing the students to these skills, and then it's going to allow them to build their interest in ICT and then pursue other tracks later on. Yeah. Actually, so that was super.
Me of something similar we did, but we didn't go out. Like we had like a small boot camp.
Mm.
Yeah, in Ames for that. And also, when you go to the Ames website, right, you see that there are lots of initiatives to that board. Like there's the Next Einstein Initiative, there's this partnership we have with the Olympiad, the Math Olympiad. They come and train in our place for
Mm-hmm.
the global tournament.
I think I've
And
seen that.
basically, I guess wherever math is prevalent, you see a sprinkle of
You see
things there
Ames,
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So just to mention the fact that Ames focuses on AI, okay, or math and AI. I'm correct, right?
Well, math and its applications, but
So
mainly
math.
the projection is on math, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now what can it be used for?
Mm,
But then the emphasis in most of what AIMS does is on the having a strong foundation in math and
okay.
then now branching into other things.
Okay.
So yeah,
I wanted to
that's
compare it to the MSEAI program in CMU. But I don't think that program is, they do math, but from your description, I don't think it's as heavy as Ames one
yeah,
Ames, yeah. Okay.
yeah. I mean, most of the math we do is in the prep phase, is in the
Mm,
preparatory phase, and then subsequently in the other areas that you're
mm,
going to whatever stream you
mm,
you take on, yeah. But then from its inception, the focus was, or the focus from my perspective is on a
mm,
strong mathematical foundation, and from that, I think any other thing can stem out because
mm-hmm.
under the hood for AI, under the hood for machine learning and all these things is math, right?
Yeah.
It's linear algebra repackaged. So having a good understanding of these things
Yeah.
will put you, yeah, yeah, puts you in a
Mm.
good place. So yeah,
Okay.
that's about it.
So I have one more thing, or is it two? Let's go through this quickly. Career services and alumni network. Okay. So how does your school prepare how does your school prepare students for the job market? And then what is the employment rate? Do you know this for your school?
I don't, I
I
don't,
don't think I
but
can give
I,
a value to it, but I know most of our graduates are employed.
well, I know we have a strong alumni network. I can't say it for a
Mm,
fact that AIMS prepares you, if I'm being in all honesty.
mm-hmm,
I'm not very sure that AIMS, maybe now things have changed, but I'm not very sure that AIMS prepares you necessarily for the job market. I
mm,
think AIMS prepares you for a PhD. Like
mm-hmm.
AIMS prepares you for higher level
Education to
education.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to go into the job market, you are going to have to work towards it. But then again, I know AIMS has I'm trying to remember the name. I don't know if it's still under Next Einstein Initiative or it's a separate initiative,
Mm-hmm.
but there's this arm in AIMS that tries to connect students to the job market. So
Okay.
it's headed by I think Professor Charles, and his sole aim is really finding opportunities, sending it to us. So there's a whole platform for that now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when there are intentions, when there are jobs, it's posted there, you apply, and
Mm-hmm.
then you get to know. For example, I I was given the opportunity to apply for an internship with Bending Spoons in Italy.
Okay.
I went through the stages and all that. I didn't make it. But yeah, there's that. And then attached to that opportunity was a conference they were having. They denied me visa, Sha, but other people went, even though they didn't. Yeah, so then they denied me visa,
Mm.
but as God will have it.
So that one is the
The Yoruba
embassy's
have
fault.
come.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, there's also that. I mean, it's becoming more and more obvious that not everybody that goes to AIMS wants to
Do a
um
PhD.
pursue a PhD. And
Yeah.
so shout out to Dr. Charles. I can't remember his name, but he's really doing a
He's
good
isn't he
job
the
in.
only Charles in Ames though? I mean in the
I
academic.
don't even know if I'm saying his name right. I have to check the name to see if it's Dr. Charles I'm
Okay.
talking to. But he's doing a really good job, matching students to internship opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I do know, yeah. So So yeah, we have a huge network, and a huge alumni network. At least
Mm-hmm.
we have an email chat that everybody is on,
Mm-hmm.
unless you opt out. And there's also this platform I mentioned that there are opportunities on. I'll try to find the name of the platform so you can link it. Yeah.
Is
So
it open? It's
with res-
only accessible
I mean, you
for
have to be an
students.
alumni.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be an alumnus to be able to access it. Yeah. So that's the push on the job front.
Mm-hmm.
But whilst we are in school, right, we are encouraged, even in that 10 months, we are encouraged to apply, like apply for
Mm-hmm.
PhD opportunities, apply. Like every opportunity our tutors get, they remind us to put in an
To put
application for
in.
something.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
essentially, I think that answers that. To be
Okay.
honest, the employment rate,
Mm.
I can't say for, I mean, most of those around me from my year group that I know of went on to Babs was working at a job already. She went back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chris got a PhD. A few other people I know, Rebecca and all of these guys got PhDs. And some, stayed home a while. I stayed home 2 months before I got a job at Shango. And some went on to do masters. So generally, maybe there's some statistics for it. I know they encourage us to share our experience with them so that they know how well they are doing and what they
Mm-hmm.
have to change. But alumni are stubborn. We have our life going on
Yeah.
too. But by and large, I think it varies. Even those that want to go into higher education, it's not like it's on a silver platter. You
Mm-hmm.
apply to schools, you prove yourself, all these things. So I don't have the figures, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure on the website for those that have entered their information, they can present some numbers. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Thank
And I
you.
think that that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you touched on everything. So for CMU Africa, how does it prepare you for the job market? We have a career services department, okay, and that is headed by Patricia. She does her best to connect students to internships and jobs as and when she finds it. So you receive them in your mail, okay, and then you put in applications for that. And then there's another thing. So at the start of the video, there was a section where I mentioned that despite being in TMU Africa, you still have access to some Pittsburgh platforms. Okay. So we all have one platform in common, which is called Handshake. I think this is open to people in other universities as well. Okay. So on Handshake, you see job postings and job opportunities that you can apply for. Some of them are tied to your location, but some of them are not. So it's dependent on you to find those that are not tied to the location. Then employment rate for graduates, I don't have a figure off the top of my head, but I'll say it's high. Yeah, I'll say it's
Okay.
high, and then I'll do the research and then put the number there later. So how does your school, sorry, I think I'm reading this wrongly. Does your school have a strong alumni network, and how accessible are they to the current students? Um, I don't know how to measure the strength of the alumni network, but what I can say is for students that come in, you meet a batch. So because it's a 2-year program, every new batch that comes meets the previous batch. Okay. And I
Yeah.
think based on your level of interaction, you get contact in that batch and then you move on from there. But I'm not very connected to people who were 2-3 years ahead of me because I didn't meet them. Okay. Unless of course I
Mm-hmm.
knew them before they came to CME Africa. But then if I didn't, I mean, I don't. I think we
Mm-hmm. I
have a
think,
general Slack channel for everybody, but it's not very active. Yeah, it's not
yeah.
very active.
At least you guys didn't get to meet a batch. We don't meet
Yeah,
anybody.
you come in, you
We're on our
go.
own. We
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
We've started on diversity and inclusion already, so I don't think we need to go there. And campus facilities. And what sets your school apart from others? What sets aims apart from CMU Africa, University of Rwanda, Legon?
Well, I think the focus on mathematics,
Mm-hmm,
the sole focus on the strong mathematical foundation for Africans.
mm-hmm,
So the fact that it's a Pan-African institution, one,
mm-hmm,
and the fact that it's um, it's built from the understanding that, or it's built on the understanding that a strong mathematical foundation is the most essential thing for a STEM education or a successful STEM education. And
Mm-hmm.
um, the fact that, and also because, A started out as creating opportunities for brilliant Africans. We have this initiative called the Next Einstein Initiative, and in some way, the initiative believes that, or yeah, their hope is that the next Einstein will be African.
Okay.
That just tells you how ambitious we are, and also how much we believe in the fact that when you get the math right, technically every other thing will fall in place. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's that vision and mission, and the
Mm-hmm.
focus on the African continent that sets us apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Why did you choose to attend your school, and would you make the same choice again?
it's a very interesting question. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, AIMS was one of several schools I applied to after my undergraduate education. And looking at my life now, I think I made the most of the opportunity. It's been rocky, but it's been blissful. So if I didn't get into AIMS, if I backtrack to 2021 when I got admission, if I hadn't gotten into AIMS, if I'd gotten another admission, things would have been different. I don't know. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how that would have turned out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my experience from AIMS has been a blessing, you know, and an experience that I dare say I'll probably not have had in a different institution because of the
Mm-hmm.
Pan African setup, having to meet different people from 16, 18 different countries
Mm-hmm.
under the same roof, learning with them 59 others,
Mm-hmm.
technically. And so that's a very rich experience on its own.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
want to even talk about character building and all the things that come with it, and even leadership in that sense, because we had team projects, you had to have people on your side understanding what you want to do. We are coexisting in the same space aside learning. And so it's not like you ever get to escape. So
Yeah.
all of that created a very unique experience. I like to call AIMS an educational big brother. I don't know if you're familiar
Actually,
with
yes,
Big
yes,
Brother.
yes, yes, yes.
It's an educational version of Big Brother
Mm-hmm.
Africa
Mm-hmm.
or Big Brother Niger. Just that we don't have all those other things, but yeah. And so I think it's very unique in itself. And from where I stand now, since I don't know what it would have been like to not to have gone to AIMS, I don't think I would trade that experience because it has um contributed to who I am and where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have to do to that
Okay.
question.
Okay. And then what's one thing you wish you knew before attending your school?
Hmm, I mean,
Should we come back?
hmm. No, I'm not sure if because I kind of had heard sorry, I kind of heard so much about ANC program because back in my I did economics and math for my undergraduate, for those of you
Mm-hmm.
that don't know. And so some of my lectures were teaching at AIMS Ghana.
Okay.
And so I already had fear for AIDS,
Mm.
before going. So I had heard, about the intensity. I had heard about, you know, several things. I chose AIDS Rwanda because, in all honesty, I wanted to use my passport for the first time. So I was like, I cannot do
Yeah,
this
and I
thing in
think
Ghana.
even, I mean, if you are Ghanaian and you are getting an educational experience, I think this is actually something to consider. It's one thing growing up, going to a very good institution and then having the whole academic structure, following through and completing, right?
Mhm.
But then when you realize that culture actually contributes to education, okay,
Yeah.
and then experiencing a different culture opens your mind. Okay, then you start yearning to be in different places because of the kind of interactions you've had, because of the
Yeah.
opportunities that come with it, and then meeting people from different places. You'll be surprised at how diverse we are. All Africans, but there's so much
Yeah.
diversity, and it's beautiful to
People
see actually. Yeah,
Yeah, and
continue.
people think like if you're an intern, you still get the same diversity, but I
Mm.
don't think it's the same thing because you're still in your comfort zone.
Yeah, even
Like
the food,
exactly, that's just what I was coming to because in Ames Rwanda, the food is skewed towards Rwandan dishes, like things
which
that
is
they normally
difficult
eat,
for
and
West
you have to
Africa.
adapt. How can you cook and there's no pepper? Ah, God,
Oh
what did
my
pepper do
word!
to you
And it's a
people?
whole experience.
Exactly, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fun. So as regards like Ames culture and the Ames structure, I think I kind of knew everything because I
Mhm.
had a friend in the cohort before
Mhm.
at Rwanda, so I got like all the gist I needed about it. I think I was just a bit surprised as to okay, so for my first job interview, like which I eventually got into later on, I found out that I had an idea of a lot of things, and this was my first introduction to data science from my master's program.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I was not, um, how do I put this? I just had all the knowledge there, but as to its applicability and how it's related, I was still a little wanting
Mhm.
in that. Probably not sure if that affected my internship with Burning Spoons, but I think Burning Spoons was more of software,
Mhm.
and I was, and like I was not that. So,
Yeah.
and Ames doesn't prepare you for that. So I think that's the bit of the shocker that Ames really, as it stands, as at when I was graduating, I don't think you'll be necessarily prepared for the job market if that's
Mm.
the aim you have. But I also had colleagues that had a master's before coming to Ames,
Mhm.
were working before coming to Ames. So it was just like a top up master's. It was just like a stepping stone for some. It was
Mhm.
for others. It was like an opportunity to get an upgrade at work kind
Mhm.
of thing. Yeah. So essentially, knowing what um, how the program is run in each campus before applying is essential. I think I kind of did my research.
Mhm.
Even though things did change when I got there, it favored me because I was willing to venture into data science. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. And if you have, a job in mind, like an area you want to focus on, then
Mhm.
probably you should opt for a different MSc program. If you are really looking to AI, then maybe you should look at the Army program. You should look at and I think if you are looking for just general industry, you should look at the cooperative master's program.
Mhm.
The structured master's program, in my opinion, really prepares you. I think all the others, yes, you can go into higher education like a PhD or a second master's, but
Mhm.
particularly for the structured master's program, I think the focus is really high level education,
Mhm. Yeah.
research and yeah, in my opinion, yeah.
Mm.
So technically, yeah, I kind
Okay.
of knew most of what I needed to
Needed
before
to
going to
know.
Ames. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll say something similar for me as well, but I'm going to address the questions from the top. Okay, so what sets your school apart from others? I think for CMU Africa, I don't know about all other institutions, obviously, but then comparing to, let me say, University of Ghana, comparing to AIMS Rwanda, right? One key thing I'll say is the flexibility in selecting courses when you come in. Okay, so for me as an electrical and computer engineering student, you get to choose a concentration area. Okay, and this is actually the same for all courses. So you can come in with a master's in IT, in electrical and computer engineering or EAI, and then aside having that master's title, you can choose courses that help you focus in either software engineering, telecommunications, AI, etc. Okay, so that flexibility in choosing an area where you want to focus on. Okay, I think that's one key strength. And then there are a number of courses to choose from. You can pick courses over here that is physical in-person courses, and then you get to choose remote courses that are run in Pittsburgh. Okay, so I think that's um a stronghold. Okay, and then why did I choose to attend my school, and will I make the same choice again? I'm still in my school. I think I'll better answer this question like 3 years from now. But I'm positive that it will be a good response. Yes. So I can't tell for the future, but my hope is that it will be a good one. And then why did I choose to attend my school? So there were I put in different applications. I actually found out about CMU Africa, I think a year before I came. So I had the opportunity to visit Rwanda a year before I came to CMU. Okay. And then I came to Rwanda. I came for a graduation in Israel. The lady on the call is my sister. Okay. Yes. So I was trying so hard not to say it. Oh my god, I was trying so hard not to say it. Okay, so I came for a graduation.
I
And
mean,
then
your viewers are smart. They probably figured it out already.
so, I'm being formal, very formal with my sister. Okay. So I came for a graduation, and then when I came for a graduation, I remember I had a friend here, so he took me to see the ALU campus. Okay, so while we were on ALU campus, then he mentions that there's a master's institution here, Carnegie Mellon. I knew that was in the US. I didn't know they had a campus here. And then he goes like, yes, they have a campus here. They run master's programs, so you should definitely look into it. And then I think for me that was it. It was after that I found out that a number of people from Ashesi University, which is my undergrad, okay, actually come to CMU Africa. So that was the starting point for me. I looked into it, I put in the applications, and then I got the Mastercard scholarship, and then I'm here. Yes. So what's one thing you wish you knew before attending your school? Honestly, right now, I don't have anything. I think I did a lot of research about the school, and I mostly spoke to people. So for me, that's one very quick way to learn. If you can have human interactions to develop knowledge about a new area, I think that's where the best form of advice comes from. Okay, especially in humanly run institutions. Okay, so for me, I was speaking to a number of Ashesi students that had come to CMU Africa or that were in CMU Africa, like asking them for tips, like application tips, for parking tips, for opportunities. Like when you come into this space, I mean, there's 2 years. How can I make the most of it? What would you have done differently? Like I was already asking those questions. So before I came, I had the plan of the things I wanted to go into and all those things. And then largely, I have achieved most of them. I mean, I have a year more to go. So hopefully they ought to be in my favor in Jesus' name. And then I'll check all of those off as well. Yeah. So that's it for me. I don't think I have any other things to say. So thank you, Ethel Elikem Afimenta. Do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up the call?
I think I'll just add that, when it comes to graduate education, we probably didn't mention on this call, but we also apply to schools outside of Africa, and um, whatever happened. Either there were rejections or there was no full funding and all of that. Sometimes you get carried away by we get carried away with the thoughts of schooling outside, that we forget that there are opportunities on the continent still. And so in this search, once you identify what you are looking for or what you want to focus on in your graduate studies, while you apply to other places or in the US and in the diaspora, think of Africa as well, because there are institutions down in South Africa, CMU, like you're hearing here, AIMS, that also partner with institutions outside and they have funding, So don't just don't put all your eggs in schools in the diaspora. If they come and you have the funding, glory be to God. But then don't just, ignore the opportunities that are on the continent, especially if what you are looking for can be found here. I dare say if you have a fully funded program in any of these institutions, it's worth more than going out to go and be stressing and be working. Come on. I don't know, but life sucks your life. So if I really have good funding, I'm not trading that
in
for
a good
anything.
institution, yeah.
Obviously in a good institution, that will lay a foundation for me to leverage on and get a job, meet people, network, and then now propel me to the next level. Definitely, I'm taking that over. I'm going to kill myself and work and all those things. So just food for thoughts.
Yeah. And then to add to that, let me just mention something for Ashesi University. So Ashesi University started this is free advertisement. So they started the Masters in Mechatronics program, I think the year I left. Okay, so that was the year after. So 2021, 22, thereabout. Okay, they started the Masters in Mechatronics program, and then it's a partnership, or I don't know if it's still a partnership with East Zurich. Okay, and I know as of now they've added like 2 more programs to that, and then they are doing so much. Like Ashesi is advancing, and one key thing about Ashesi is really big on scholarships. So I think Ashesi is one of the institutions on the African continent that is key on creating opportunities for students. Okay, and my experience there for 4 years was okay. So from the career services department and how they contribute to your success, from the facilities team, like I feel like that community is, everybody is conscious of the fact that we are all here to help one another win. Okay, and I believe that is something that will translate into the master's program as well. And I know there's sufficient funding, or I think it's even fully funded. Yeah. So I'll put the links in the description as well, and then definitely check it out. Okay. Okay. Hi guys. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. I appreciate you. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe if you found it helpful, and share it with a friend who might be considering either campuses. If there's any idea you have of a video that will be helpful to you, kindly put it in the description, and I'll do my best to work on that. Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.